We back, baby.
Yo, are
We
we
back,
back?
baby.
We're back. Dog, long time coming. The fantasy gods.
The
The
gods.
gods, man. We're back, dog. I mean, hey, you know, it's Friday the 12th. It's a little early, but hey, we want to do something special today, man. Justin, my man, Justin Henry, killing it on the off season, just destroying the Twitter verse, destroying the YouTube verse, the metaverse, whatever
Bruh.
it is, man. Justin's in it. Man, how you feeling, Justin?
The grind, bro. The
Yeah.
grind, it always pays off. And, we've done that grind for football, for fantasy football, but doing that grind for like hoop is a whole different beast. And then, obviously, we got the season coming up here. So I've been cranking out these rankings, bro, and like trying to go through these
Yes.
tiers and look at
Yes.
other people's ADP and start to gain a little bit of insight as to like how this thing's going to shake out. But we
Right.
got a lot of time now. The schedules are out. We got time to evaluate the schedules, answer whatever questions y'all got. Damn, my man. I know you was deep into Dynasty, but we're gonna start getting these redraft questions coming in here
Hey,
pretty soon.
redraft is fine with me, man. That's good. I'm about that life. I'm ready. I mean, it's just amazing to see how this new year is going to be, how it's going to look. I'm excited. But I've been putting out, gem after gem after
Oh
gem
yeah,
for
you've
you
been doing your
guys for
thing,
for
bro.
rookies, dog. So,
Your
y'all
boy
prepared.
Mingo, that was a good call, bro. Your boy
Yeah, Mingo,
Mingo
man.
there.
I mean, I put that out before the draft, and hey, top end second round pick. That's what I thought, man. Sometimes like players just kind of meet the metric, and and the NFL agrees. So the NFL obviously agreed with my thought on him, and we'll see. He obviously, to me, what's crazy though is I hate to say it, but Terrace Marshall met my metric too, and then the Panthers agreed to that too, and now it's like,
Yes.
okay, like where's Terrace Marshall? Like, and you're a big fan of Terrace Marshall, so like as a
I
prospect,
was.
so well, yeah, it
Was.
was, and it happens. I mean, we can't hit on everybody.
You
I
can't
mean,
hit on everybody, and
that's what
sometimes
we do.
roles and situations change too. Now Bryce Young's in there, new coach,
Right,
new situation. DJ Chark, Adam Thielen in there. So I'm
right,
not as hyped on the situation of Terrace Marshall. When opportunity came, Terrace Marshall really didn't take advantage of it. And you want to see you really get like one or two opportunities in the NFL, and no matter what talent you have, if you don't take advantage of those opportunities, you kind of miss the ball. Terrace Marshall had an opportunity his rookie year and his sophomore year, and he played well, but not enough obviously for them to not take Mingo there in the second.
yeah,
I
yeah.
ain't really with T Marsh no more.
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, sometimes you have to take the opportunity, and if you're not taking the opportunity, it's going to be gone. Like the NFL is the not for long league for a reason. Like
Facts.
its average is like 3 years in the league, and then you're gone. So you really have to take advantage of that opportunity. He didn't. I look for Mingo to kind of step into that role. Hopefully, he does. We saw a little bit of film today. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, but they've been posting, Jonathan Mingo and Bryce Young. Now, Bryce Young, man, looks really small. I don't know if you saw that, but on that offensive line, man, he is tiny, man. So I don't know, man. I know he was the number one pick. Carolina Panthers traded up all the assets,
Yeah.
obviously did a lot of research and said, hey, this is their guy. But to me, man, I don't know. I'm not on that young train just yet.
Yeah.
In dynasty rookie drafts, I have him kind of in that middle tier range, like from that 6 to that 9 spot for dynasty. Even in super flex, that's where I rank him because you have to consider the number one pick. A lot of the number one picks over the last few years have hit,
Yeah.
and some of them haven't, but most of them have. So you really have to kind of factor in that number one selection. Now that number two or number four with Stroud and Anthony Richardson, those kind of can vary. But with that number one pick, the odds generally go in your favor. But for me, I'm staying away from Young. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. Rather take the risk on an Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and Dynasty is one of those things too. You have to think about it long term, right? The frame with Bryce Young, it's something that has to hold up. And for me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? I just don't trust that it will hold up. So I'm kind of out on Bryce Young too. And I take it, like you mentioned, Anthony Richardson over him. I'm probably going with like Jameer Gibbs and obviously Bijan Robinson at the top, number 101. But even a receiver, man, I might even take like a Quentin Johnston over him
Oh
or
yeah,
JSN over him. So
yeah.
he ain't really there. Less based. And what's good, my dude? How you living? He said, which side do you like? The 101 and the 301 or the 107, 109, late 24 first? So basically, 3 first round picks for Bijan Robinson. How you feeling, Dan?
Yeah, so I guess for me, you know that the 101's locked in with Bijan. And that's not gonna change. It shouldn't change. And if it does, wow, like it just how? Like sometimes you just pick the guy. Like when Saquon came out, you
Yeah.
just take Saquon. Like no matter what happened for the rest of his career, it is what it is. You take Bijan Robinson. Okay, so we know that Bijan's gonna be the number one. He's gonna be the number one. You don't have to worry about the 101 now. The problem is that 107, the 109, the late 2024 first. So you already know that you're getting a late 2024 first. I don't really like that. I want to at least have it be random. So to me, it's late. Oh, that kind of lowers that little bit of value there.
Yeah, you're giving Bijan to the top team, one of the top teams in the league.
Exactly. So you're giving Bijan to that top tier. Now, for me, I don't trade for a guy like Bijan unless I am a top 4 team. Because what you're saying is I want to give up my 3 rookie picks to get a transcendental player with Bijan Robinson. To me, unless you're a top 4, I'm not making that deal. And number 2, I don't like pick 7 and 9. I want to be in the range of 1 through 6. The 1 through 6 guys I really like. Again, JSN, Quentin Johnson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Anthony Richardson, Bijan Robinson. That range of players would be worth it. So if it was okay, I'm going to get a mid 2024 first. I'm going to get 5 and 6 or 4 and 5. Absolutely, you take all those picks. But if you're on the outside less, okay, if you are the 107, 109 in a late 2024 first, and you need Bijan to win you the ship, go get Bijan. So it just depends for me. It just depends on your makeup of your team and the league.
I'm really on the side of this 107, 109 in late first. And the reason why is not because I think Bijan's the player I would rather have. Like if I was actively trying to get Bijan Robinson, this is the kind of offer I would throw. Like I would have a contending team. I got extra first. I need to get rid of all these first. Let me go be a contending team with Bijan. But if I'm a middle of the pack team, if I'm a team that maybe I'm not guaranteed a chance at the championship, I'm kind of looking at this as an opportunity to get real talent here in a draft that's considered, a pretty decent draft, I would say, and then also get a pick for next year. The 107, 109 could be a Jahmyr Gibbs, could be a CJ Stroud, could be a Bryce Young, could be a Quentin Johnson. Like you can get a decent player right there at 107 if they happen to fall. And then the 109 is probably you're looking at like Jordan Addison. So you can go get 2 receivers who are probably wide receiver 3s at worst in their career, like just based off the draft capital and where they got drafted. So you're getting at worst wide receiver 3s from both of those guys, probably better at some point in their careers, plus another late 24 first, which could turn into another running back next year. Running back is already the most volatile position in the league. We saw Breece Hall. He was the 101 last year for a lot of people. Guess what? He didn't finish the season. Javonte Williams was a high pick 2 years ago. Didn't finish the season last year. Like there's a lot of expectations for running back, but not only does Bijan have to stay productive, he also has to stay healthy. I think he will. I think he'll live up to the 101 in dynasty drafts. But to go get a lot of talent like that, I'm actually not mad at the deal. So I would probably spread it out. It just depends on your roster makeup and construction.
Yeah, if you're a contender, go get Bijan. I mean, he's gonna make that championship move for you. I mean, it's not a lot of
fair deal.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
This is like a fair deal. This isn't a heavy one way or the other, and it really depends. Like if you absolutely need one running back, that's the difference between you winning a championship or not. Go get Bijan. Yeah, but if you're like, I got a lot of holes, I got old players on my roster, and you can go get 2 receivers, like I think Johnston and Addison would be solid additions for you if you need 2 receivers here in the near 1-2 years.
Right,
go get that deal done, man.
Yeah.
So it's a fair deal.
Yeah, it's super fair. All right, well, we're talking about.
I got some players. You know what we should do? Let's get into player talk real quick, man, and let's go through like the tiers, right? The first 10 picks, and try to find either a bust or a sleeper out of the first 10 picks. You know how we be calling out this stuff, man. So it's a little early in the process. So rankings, ADP, all that's going to change here at some point here in the near future. But let's go through the top 10 picks based on Fantasy Pros ADP. Let's start off in the 1 through 10 position.
All right.
I'm just going to name off the first 10 picks. I want you to name a sleeper and a bust, and we'll get into why.
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey at the 101, Austin Eckler at the second pick, Jonathan Taylor number 3, Saquon Barkley number 4, Justin Jefferson number 5, Bijan Robinson number 6, Travis Kelce number 7, Jamar Chase number 8, Josh Jacobs number 9, Tony Pollard sitting there at number 10.
Okay, well, for me, Tony Pollard bust. Like
Bust.
I don't
Damn.
I cannot draft him at that cost. I cannot do it. He's already injured currently. He's currently injured, nursing
Yeah.
his injury. I just can't see it. They brought in Cooks. And so to me, I think you gotta trend away from that Ezekiel Elliott kind of phase. You're going to be passing. I think that he gets a lot of catches. I think that Tony Pollard will still maintain his PPR numbers, but for the value at the top 10, we're talking top 10 value. I cannot get behind Tony Pollard there. Now,
But everybody's gonna say he finished top 10 last year, whatever it was. I think it was the top 10 running back last year, the RB number 9 in a limited role. So now he's got starters touches. You don't think that he could at least break that?
I don't see it at all. I can't. He's never handled a full workload for the full season. Yes, he was 8. He was 8 on that basis in 16 games. He scored 248 points. He was number 8. Totally get it. 100% get it. But we haven't seen this guy with the carries. I mean, again, before the season, he was 186 in 2019, 101 in 2020, 130 in 2021, and then 193 attempts. So he hasn't really broken that 250 carry threshold that a workhorse running back usually breaks. Like that's the threshold that you want to see. Now he's still maintaining his yard per carry. All that's good, and he had 9 touchdowns. So I can't hate the guy. Like he broke out, he deserves it. But again, to me, this is the first year that we've seen him finally get the attempts, the touches. Okay, cool. He did it. But in the first round, guys, you want that high floor along with the ceiling. And to me, he just doesn't have that. He's coming off injury.
Yeah.
So he had 190 something carries and then was injured. So I'm not trying to hate on the guy. I want him to be healthy. I pray for his health. I'm not out here sitting that he will get injured. But to me, at the top 10, can't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm actually with you there. I think Tony Pollard's a guy that I'm out on. The frame scares me. The workload scares me. I think he'll have some good weeks. He'll have some decent weeks, but they have to bring in another back. Like they'll have to bring in a Fournette. They got to bring in a Zeke, somebody else that can come in and take some of the pressure off of Tony Pollard because he's not built for 300 touches. That's just not what he's built for. So he got injured last year, taking on more work, and we saw the results of that as well. The points per touch, all that's up there. We know he can score the rock. We know he can be a very valuable fantasy asset if he's able to still stay healthy. I'm not betting on that with the top 10 pick. I'm not normally scared of injuries, but that kind of workload with that frame, I am a little bit cautious on. A player that I think can outproduce his ADP right now, going at wide receiver number 2, Ja'Marr Chase. You're already paying high draft capital for him, but he has kind of that Randy Moss feel, that big play appeal. And we saw at times he struggled early on in the season, and then he got hurt later on in the season. So it feels almost like a discount. You have to pay still, pick number 8, but I can see Ja'Marr Chase finishing as the wide receiver 1 overall. To me, that's not out of the range of outcomes.
No, it's not. He's phenomenal. There's nothing else that we can really say about Ja'Marr Chase. I mean, his targets last year, 16, 9, 10, 6, 12, 10, 11, 8, 15, 13, 11. It just keeps going on and on and on. He's around that 7 reception, 80-yard, frame plus or minus those long touchdowns, those 80-yard bombs that he could do. So to me, Ja'Marr Chase, he's right there. We had a debate last year, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson. You can't go wrong. And so to me, when you can't go wrong with the pick, take the pick that's more valuable, right? And then it's a later pick. The higher end picks are things that, that's a lot of cost. So you have to be right, but that value comes down at that 8 spot. I like definitely
PPR leagues. Chase. Who would you take? Would you take Ja'Marr Chase or you take in Saquon Barkley?
Well, in the first round, I usually like to go with receiver, especially if Ja'Marr Chase is there. I'm more of that hero running back in a second, third round in those redraft leagues for me, because I want to find, because that's what happened last year with us. We got Saquon Barkley in the second round. A lot of times, maybe in the third round, it kind of hit for us a couple times. We're going to find those running backs, and we could look at, Fantasy Pros rankings as far as in the second round, who do we really like?
We're about to come up on those right now.
And we could talk about it, but I like going receiver in the first round. You're guaranteed a guy that's super high upside, high floor, less injury risk, especially in the first round.
Yeah, and even over a guy, all right, other name I'll throw out there, we haven't talked about it yet, Bijan Robinson. You going Jamar Chase or Bijan Robinson?
Jamar. Yeah, he's been there, done that. He's superstar
But
receiver.
Bijan could be the number one pick, bro.
Of course he could. Of course he could. That's all I hear about on Twitter and all this stuff. Like, of course, he's the next LaDainian Tomlinson. Like, I mean, this guy, I get the Bijan hype. I get all that. Like, he was great in college. He's a phenomenal profile. He's got all the accolades. He to me could be like an Ezekiel Elliott. Like, okay, and that's good. That's totally fine. But to me, like, Zeke isn't Taylor at his best, right? Like, like Zeke is good, solid running, a solid fantasy, solid dynasty pick, phenomenal, all that stuff. But to me, Jonathan Taylor is a better prospect coming out than Bijan, in my opinion. That's just, I don't see how Taylor isn't viewed higher than Bijan. Now in Fantasy Pros on that ranking, he is, and I'm thank you Fantasy Pros for being smart.
Get it right,
because I like Bijan good. Like Bijan again, he's on Atlanta, right? Bad team. He's got to still compete with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and a horrible quarterback. Like, I don't believe in Ridder. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of their weapons.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the dome. I'm a fan of all that. But I don't really like Ridder. I think Ridder's easily replaceable next year. I think he's going to. I think
Taylor Heineke comes in there and takes the job.
I don't know about Taylor Heineke at all. I mean, he shouldn't come in. I think Ridder deserves the year. Like, give him, unless he just absolutely just tanks. Yeah. Like, give Ridder a chance, right? He needs all the reps he can get. He's going to rely on Bijan. Bijan's going to have at least 18 touches a game. But you still have Tyler Algier, which, hey, I wasn't a big fan of him, but they're going to probably use him. They're going to use him. They still got Cordell Patterson.
Use him.
So it's like, what is Bijan like? How many touchdowns is Bijan going to score in that offense?
Bijan has to really meet that top 5 player is if he gets 15 touchdowns. Like, if Bijan's not getting 10 to 15 touchdowns, he's going to come nowhere near this list. And I think that's the part you have to think about is, do you trust this Atlanta offense enough for their running back to get 15 touchdowns, 10 to 15 touchdowns? And if you can't, then you can't call Bijan Robinson that kind of player. He's not getting 100 catches in this offense.
No, absolutely not. There's no way. Like I said, hopefully he does get a lot of catches because that's going to raise his floor where we want to see. But I mean, last year, Algier had 1,000 yards, 4.9 a carry. He had 16 receptions and only 4 total touchdowns. Yeah. So I don't see like kind of where. And plus, like I said, Cordell Patterson is still there to snake. Like I love seeing that. Like his resurgence, like when he first started, total bust for fantasy, right? He's a great football player, but total bust for fantasy. He had that little resurgence here. You love to see it. And he's a good dude, like Cordell. He had 8 touchdowns last year and 11 touchdowns before. I mean, he's going to have at least 6 to 8. That's where I see like this year. Like it's going to trend down. I get it. He's older, but I still see 6 to 8. Like, and that's going to take away from Bijan.
Yeah, this Atlanta team's not scoring 30 points a game. Like, let's be real. And they got a lot of mouths to feed on that team, a lot of high draft capital. So for all the Bijan love, there was a lot of Kyle Pitts love. There was a lot of Drake London love. Somebody's got to suffer for it. Let's get into the next round. Cooper Kupp is at number 11, old familiar name who was at the top of a lot of boards last year. Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Nick Chubb, Ramondre Stevenson at 14, 15 Derrick Henry, 16 CeeDee Lamb, 17 Stephon Diggs, way down there, 18 Travis Etienne climbing up, 19 Devontae Adams, and then 20 Breece Hall coming off the injury. There any names that kind of stuck out to you there that you were thinking like, I think you did a bust first. Is there any like potential you think to enter the top 10 out of any of those names?
Okay, so top 10 out of those names for sure. Obviously Reek, at 12, that's, I think that's pretty standard. I think that Stephon Diggs still can beat out that 17 ADP spot. I mean, Derrick Henry, right? I mean, I love Derrick Henry.
In the second round.
And I think Derrick Henry might be the guy that I might be targeting in the second round if he slips. Like, I think if he's like a top second, I'm like, I might be fading Derrick Henry a little bit. But in that later second round, he might be my hero RB for redraft. Okay, I know a lot of people think nowadays, like people are starting to go into that dynasty, world. And the problem with dynasty is that you overvalue these or undervalue these older guys because
we all think we're the GMs. We all think we're going to hit.
It's just a brain thing that I have discovered that I do sometimes. So now I'm kind of tweaking myself to try and make sure that I'm staying ahead of the curve, right? So to me, that Derrick Henry is going to be a value. I think Derrick Henry will be a value by the time August ADP comes around.
Yeah,
I think he might move into that third round, and I think that's just the sweet spot for Derrick Henry. Bust factor for me, real quick, just to touch on it. I think Stevenson is the bust factor there. I don't trust the Patriots offense. I don't trust Patriots running backs ever. And so to me, while he did great, he was phenomenal. And I got hosed on a trade. I ain't gonna lie. I sold Stevenson for like a early second round pick. And ugly.
Did not work out.
Did not work out for me. So I could eat crow 2 years in a row, but we'll see. I won't be. Some guys you just don't. I just can't. I don't like. So
yeah, I think you're paying at ceiling for Ramondre Stevenson, unfortunately. So he's RB9 in ADP right now, which is way too high for a guy that played well. But we know how Belichick tends to use different running backs, and I know Damian Harris is out, so it looks like things have opened up. But Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris both show that they can be a factor in that backfield. I'm not saying that either one of them takes the job initially, but I'm not crowning Ramondre Stevenson as the guy for the entire year for the Pats. I can see them replacing somebody, a guy that I am also a little bit down on, and I've been a fan of. I get called. People say that I look like this dude, Nick Chubb. The hell, Nick Chubb? I don't look like no damn Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb, ugly.
Nick Chubb, ugly.
How, bro?
I just don't. RB8 is a little too high for me, man. Like we saw Nick Chubb in his career, he's already been kind of injury prone. I don't want to put that on him because most running backs are injury prone, but he's missed games over the course of majority of the season. And the Cleveland Browns are talking about opening up the passing game. We know he's not a pass catcher. We know they want to get their other backs more involved, and Deshaun Watson's going to be the focal point. So I think Nick Chubb over a guy like Derrick Henry is really a disgrace. Like Nick Chubb to me seems more like a third round back than a second round back at this point.
Yeah. I agree. I think a lot of people just think, oh, well, Kareem Hunt's gone, right? So all the Kareem Hunt, touches and carries, 70% or 50% of that is going to go back to Nick Chubb. And to me, Nick Chubb had his most kind of rushing attempts last year, which was 302 attempts. I know it was 17 games. Okay. So he's never played, I think the last 2 years it was 14 and 12 was what he played. His reception total has gone up the last 3 years. So 16, 20, and 27. That helps. But also he had 13 total touchdowns last year. So to me, I see his yards per carry kind of going down. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of Nick Chubb moving forward, especially in Dynasty. I'm probably moving Nick Chubb for whatever I can get.
It would take a trade, like for him to have value again. Nick Chubb he's kind of losing his value right now, and I think you're drafting him.
They traded for Elijah Moore. They still got David Bell in there. Amari Cooper's still going to do his thing. Njoku. I want to see Deshaun Watson get better. I want to see him, maybe not go up to top 5 like he was in the past, but he's got to get back to top 10 at least.
And they paid him, and they gave up the ass for him. They gave up all that draft capital to get him. They gave up players money. Like it's time. So, all right, heading into the next round, we got Mark Andrews at 21, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 22, your boy A.J. Brown sitting there at number 3, Najee Harris at 24, 25, Garrett Wilson, 26, Jalen Waddle, 27, Kenneth Walker, 28, T.J. Hawkinson, 29, T. Higgins, number 30, Devontae Smith. God. This is where the draft starts to get a little bit interesting, and this is where all the hot takes are going to come from.
This is if you don't follow us, man, you're going to be in trouble, man. I'm telling you, you're going to be.
This is a landmine right here. This area is a landmine,
which is wild. Like it's the third round. Like it shouldn't be a landmine. Like for me, an obvious boom is AJ Brown. Like the continuous disrespect to my boy. How is this guy not in the second round?
Behind Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I just don't get it. I just don't. How many times does this guy have to destroy other Twitter takes or other fantasy takes? Like how many times?
1,400 yards last year. It was only a second 1,000-yard season though. So it's not like we've seen AJ Brown have, a lot of elite seasons. Last year, if we're going to be real, was his first elite season.
Sure. But
that
what
doesn't
has
concern you at all?
changed? What has changed? Swift? Are we saying Swift? Come on, man. Like, nothing has changed, bro. He's the alpha wide receiver one on a prolific offense with Jalen Hurts. The disrespect is real, bro. I will continue to do the AJ Brown train. I'll continue to pipe the horn. I got to go that far. Now, as far as bust, right, or potential bust, I actually think Mark Andrews could be a potential bust at this spot. Only
Really?
because Zay Flowers comes into the realm, and Zay Flowers is a great slot guy. You also have Odell Beckham as a slot guy. Rashad Bateman should take the long ball, and that's fine. But when those slot guys kind of come in, they hurt the tight ends. They typically hurt the tight ends. So to me, I could kind of see Mark Andrews' his values up there in the third round. I'm not really. I don't like tight ends in the third round.
Yeah,
Kinda
unless
have
it's
to move
Kelsey,
it.
right?
Unless it's Kelsey, yeah. Like that's the only tight end I'm going to ever draft that high. I'm fading all the other tight ends at cost. So I think Mark Andrews to me currently at ADP, and he'll rise. He always does.
These tight ends going early is a little one of the things I'm probably going to be talking about this offseason, especially on our page, is because you got Kelsey, who's made it an outlier. He's a outlier now, and he's pushing in the first round because of the difference that he can make. I don't think Travis Kelsey is truly first round value. I just think because of the disparity in the position, you have to take him that early to get him.
Right.
When you got Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson in the second and third round over some of the receivers that are still left, I mean, over AJ Brown. Why would you take Mark Andrews over AJ Brown? That is absurd, in my opinion.
Never.
Make sure you guys aren't reaching just based off of ADP. Go with what we talking about and what, you know what I'm saying? Like, the talent. At the end of the day, talent prevails. It always does. I think by the time the season starts, we're going to see AJ Brown, his name a little bit higher. But a bust candidate I got, Kenneth Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth Walker for Seattle. Now, you know I was talking about Kenneth Walker last year. Dude's explosive.
We like Kenneth Walker.
We love Kenneth Walker, but when you don't catch the rock, that's already one thing. When you do get nicked up a little bit easier than most, that's another thing. And when the team invests a second-round draft pick to be the hammer to your lightning, there's a lot more concern here. I know the Seahawks are a rushing team, and I know Kenneth Walker has explosive days ahead of him. But that was a very interesting draft pick. Zach Charbonnet to the Seahawks. For me, that tiered down Kenneth Walker, and my assumption is that by the time drafts come, he's probably going to be at the back end of the RB2 conversation. I kind of think that's where his value is, in that 15 to 20 range, not a top 15 back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. They drafted again. You have to think you're not a great receiver in the backfield. Zach Charbonnet is a better receiver. When we're talking about JSN, again, slot guys are going to take those receptions away from those running backs. And to me, Geno Smith has transcended to a better player than he has been. I'm happy to see it. Love to see him get back his value after he was drafted in the second round on the Jets. Love to see it. But yeah, I'm with you. Kenneth Walker is kind of that poor man's Nick Chubb, right?
Yeah.
Like as far as the value goes, at least right now. And to me, yeah, I can't do it. I'm fading that cost here. And to me, where he's at currently, I think that's dynasty value instead of redraft value. So
I think a lot of these values
people are
pushing up
because of dynasty, and that's where you can go wrong in redraft. You can go wrong in redraft by overvaluing dynasty rankings.
Interesting name I saw in there, Najee Harris, getting a little bit of love, the RB13 there. I think that's about right for Najee Harris. I feel like Najee Harris' comeback story is definitely in store. So
right, he's just so good at Alabama. I just don't. It's so tough to see him not kind of live up to that
second half he had. I think he got over that foot injury. He was dealing with a lot, but Najee Harris to me looks like a guy that can rebound. Before we get into whether we conclude this or not, we got to talk about Garrett Wilson.
Yes.
We have to.
Yes.
The wide receiver 10 right now in fantasy, with Aaron Rodgers heading to New York, the guys ahead of him include A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. Is there any chance Garrett Wilson cracks the top 5 this year?
I can't see it. I cannot see Garrett Wilson cracking the top 5. Now, I know
you kind of been honestly last year coming into the season, you were like, I'm not really feeling Garrett Wilson enough.
I did say two things. Number one, there was a video out there that said Garrett Wilson was the next Jamar Chase. Like, No, sir, he's not the next Jamar Chase.
But
Okay, we got that.
he won Rookie of the Year last year.
He did, he really did, and I'm going to go ahead and say that. Damn, like okay, that's fair. Like he's going to be a good player, no questions asked. I was kind of there was another video that I had to say that Garrett Wilson was better than Elijah Moore. We got that one, knocked that one out of the park because there was a lot of people debating that too. So here's the thing with Garrett Wilson. I will say this. It's going to take time for Aaron Rodgers to get on the same page with Garrett. Well, all his receivers except Allen Lazard, right? Allen Lazard's main homie. He's going to be fine there.
And
Garrett Wilson, he has Mecole Hardman. He's got Randall Cobb in there, right? Corey Davis, they said he's still going to stay in. Obviously, you got Breece Hall taking some catches out of the backfield. So to me, I don't see top 5. Now I could see 15 to 8 in that range of outcomes. 15 to 8, I could see that. But it's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be a challenge for the Jets. Let's see what happens.
I'm actually on the other side of that, and not necessarily top 5 because I think there's only one path to top 5 for Garrett Wilson. I don't think it comes from the fact that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback now, so we got to elevate Garrett Wilson in there. I do think that the yardage he's not a 1,500-yard receiver this year with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's a 1,700-yard receiver because there's too many receivers there. They have too good of a run game. They have too good of a defense. They can't be scoring 40 points a game with that kind of defense. It's not the way that it's going to work.
Right.
But the one area I think Garrett Wilson is going to do damage is in the red zone. I can see him being a 10, 15-yard TD guy, 10, 15 TD guy. That's because Aaron Rodgers typically feeds one receiver as his guy for most of his touchdowns. He gets in a good relationship. They score a lot of touchdowns. Garrett Wilson to me is that kind of talent. I see him being more of a touchdown threat in the red zone. That's where I see that first round value coming out of him.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I'm actually a little bit. I know we're talking about top 30 players, but guys that are literally end of your draft or on waivers currently in Dynasty, I just picked up Tyler Conklin, right? Athletic tight end, someone that you look for.
Nah,
sneaky. Just go get Conklin, man. Just put him
get
your
Conklin.
bench.
Yeah, Conklin's had his chance. He's one of those waiver wire tight ends you always get.
Man,
waiver wire.
End of your bench.
Bro, it's been good getting back on the mic. You know what I'm saying? We got a whole lot more fantasy stuff to talk to. It's early in the offseason, so my takes ain't really going to change, but we just going to get you guys more information.
That's all we do. That's all we do, guys. Again, we're here for you. Check out the page. Follow Justin Henry. Follow the Fantasy Gods, man. We out.